Good afternoon, everyone. How are you, Sherry? We are working on the crochet along currently. I have decided how I am going to finish up my hexagon cardigan. I am going to be doing granny squares up the back, around the bottom edge for my extension, and around the neckline. I'm doing well. Kind of just woke up from a nap about 15 minutes ago. I'm just tired today. But this morning, I started off, since I decided it was granny squares we were going to do, or I was going to do. I made about 50 of these, and I need to go around these with my reef and the white that I'm using to make about 58 of these. I think that's about how many I'm going to need to make my extensions and all for my hexagon cardigan. I have my hexagon cardigan to the size that I want it to be, just itself. And what I am going to do, I already have it folded up. And I'm going to show it to you as best I can here on this table. I've actually folded it in half, so it looks like half a sweater. Let me see if I can't take this up a little bit higher for a minute. And I might even have to stand up. But what I've actually done is I have taken one side here from one corner to the other corner, and I've laid that flat out. Then I'll go from the bottom corner all the way over to that next corner, and I will put those two together. Then I will follow from that same corner that I just put together, and I follow that all the way up to the top, and that goes up here to this top corner. That actually folds our sweater in half, like this, so that we have the sleeve, and I'm going to show you how to decrease this sleeve. And I have this portion here from the top down, which is half the back and half the front. And I think I might have it inside out. I do, because all of my strings are hanging here. Now, what I'm going to do with these granny squares is I'm going to make enough to run two, just like this, all the way down the back. You want to have about a 4.5 to 5 inch extension between the two to make room for your neck. Because as it sits at the shoulder, this and this come right together. This is your back and your front. You need room for your neck in here. So we put a 5-inch extension in here, which these are 2.5 inches a piece, luckily. And I'm going to make to go all the way down double row to extend my back. Now, you don't have to do a double row, and you don't even have to do granny squares. What you can do, and I'm going to show you on the sleeve, is you can do, well, actually, I'm not going to do another row on the sleeves because the sleeves for me are long enough. Once I start doing the decreases, they're going to be okay. But you do the granny stitch to extend one side from one corner to the next. You'll extend that about 4 inches. You'll do that granny stitch just working this one row. You'll actually turn your work instead of working all the way around the hexagon. Okay? So that will extend your back 4 to 5 inches. You want to do 4 to 5 inches. And you will have to extend the fronts because you have now extended 4 or 5 inches. You've moved the front edge 4 or 5 inches over on your torso, so you need to cover that extension. Now, 2.5 inches on one side, 2.5 inches on the other side will close that gap back up. So we are actually going to be adding on to this. Now, what we are going to do first off today, we are going to put our right sides together. Now, I'm going to show you, I'll bring this back down here so I can really see what I'm looking at now. The difference between the front side and the back side. And I do have this folded in half, as you can see. On the back side, everything looks like it's been smashed. Especially pay attention to the tops of here. It looks like it's all flat work. It doesn't look like there's any texture to your work whatsoever. But when you take that same piece and turn it over on the other side, you are seeing these lines here, which are the top of your stitches. You are seeing all the detail, all the depth in the stitches on this side versus what you see here on this side. Everything looks flat. It looks like it's been ironed flat. That is your back side. So we want to make sure that we put the right sides together, which is exactly how I have this folded together. And we are going to sew down the length of what is the shoulder seam. Okay, you've got it folded here. It is folded in half. And we are going to sew those together. So we're going to cross that and we're going to sew it together like I sew granny squares together. Okay. What I do when I sew these together, I am going to have to get some of this reef to sew these together with. I use my darning needle, and we're going to use the color that we ended with to sew together. I fold my yarn over my yarn needle. I don't play around with trying to poke it through the eye of the needle. I do this with my sewing thread. I do this with all types of yarn and needles. Fold it over the eye of my needle, pinch it tight, pull your needle out, lay it right back over the pinch, and it works right into there. Makes a real easy threading of a needle. And now we're going to cut a little bit of this off. We don't want to be attached to the skein. And sew this together. Make sure my right sides are together. I go through the back loop only. Now sometimes I will turn this to the right side and stitch it, which is probably what I will do, so I can show you exactly how I put them together. So let me turn this around so that my right sides are facing. And I do kind of a augmented mattress stitch, sort of, kind of. Okay, I'll take both of my pieces and I'm laying them flat together. Instead of them being like this and you're whip stitching, we're not going to do that. We're going to lay them flat like this, and I'm going to show you exactly. We're going to bring this down here so we can see really good. Now on this you have a front loop and a back loop. I'm going to find my chain 2 corner, and I'm going to find the one chain. So this chain goes to this side and this chain goes to this side. I'm going to go up through the top and catch just that back loop like that. Okay, pull my yarn through here a little bit, so we're going to have to tie it together. So I'll leave that laying there. Come over here to this side and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to isolate out my chain 2 that's in the corner, and I'm going to find the one that belongs to this side, which is right here. We're going to go through the top, just the back loop, and we're going to pull our yarn through. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie these together, get them to come together. I'll put a little knot right here. We have to, because if we don't, it'll unravel. Alright, now I'm going to work over this string for a couple of stitches. I'm just going to move it out of the way here for a second. Actually, I'm going to put it down here. I will weave it in later. Normally I work over it, but for me to do that, I can't show you how I'm doing this. Again, in through the top of the next stitch, which is this one right here on the other side. We're going to go through this one here like this. Make sure I have the whole loop. Pull our yarn through. And then we are going to come over here to this side and catch the next stitch from the top down. And we're going to pull that together. And we're going to do that all the way until we got this whole piece sewed together, one stitch at a time. Because you have the same number of stitches from this side to that side, you will catch each stitch individually, and the piece will get sewed together. So here we went through that one. We need to go to this one. And what this is going to do is it's going to leave a nice little ridge for us. I like some of the details that are left when you sew things together certain ways. And what this is going to do is bring these together so that all you'll see is those two stitches together. Almost like a seamless seam, which sounds crazy, but if you do it right, it looks good. Already went through that one. So we're just going to work our way across here and sew these two pieces together. And we can do the same thing on the other side. We have to prepare our back before we can sew that piece together. But once I get done sewing this piece together, I'm going to show you how to decrease your sleeves using the granny stitch. And I thought this would be the last crochet along today, but it's going to be one more day. One more day. Hi Becky, how are you? Hey Cairo. Hey Jessie, glad to hear you're working on a cardigan as well. Marcia, thank you for the follow. Welcome in Bernadette. Thank you for the heart me, Becky. I come in and just got started, didn't pay too much attention to the comments. I was running a little bit behind getting started. Very, very sorry. Let's see here. I think we got everybody. Hey, Cindy. Yes, I love the colors. I'm using white. This is either called Java or dark brown. I can't remember which one. The reef, this color here, which is these colors, and then of course the white. We're going to sew this together. And it's kind of going to give us a nice little, what looks like a braided, see our little braided laying right here on top. I discovered many different ways that I've sewn things together. It gives a different effect to the seam. So I use different things for different reasons. Already went through that one. And we're just continuing on. This is the slow part, seaming things together. Once we get this one side seam together, I will show you how to do the decreases on the sleeve, because those are worked in the round. They're very easily done. You can try it on as you go. Yes, Becky, I did go live yesterday for about an hour for the knit along. We cast it off the back, did some more math to figure out the front cast on again, just like we did for the back. And we started the ribbing. We didn't do much more than that yesterday. And we're just sewing away. It's fine, Becky. It's all right. There's no attendance requirement. None at all. It's coming from the bottom. Normally with the mattress stitch, you take and pull one string. You don't knot it at the end. You take and pull it tight. The way I'm sewing together resembles the mattress stitch, but not the knot in the other end, because normally you take both strings and pull. But you can see how this is coming together really nicely, and it's giving us a nice little braided look there on the top. But again, it's not bumped up, it's flat. But it gives us a nice little effect there. So here I'm coming on up one stitch at a time, one loop of each stitch. Welcome in, Daphne. How are you? So we are working on across this. And my cardigan is currently 29 inches long. I want it to be 32. So I'm going to line the bottom row off the back with granny squares again. So my outer edge is going to have granny squares. I am going to show you the extension that you can do to make yours longer, or to make your sleeves longer if you stopped and didn't want them to be big belled sleeves. I am doing well, Becky. Actually, I did not. Went to bed a little early and was up at 2 a.m. this morning. So, again, had to lay down and take a little nap. Welcome in, Tia. How are you? And we're just going to continue on. This is going to take a minute. I'm going to stitch all the way across the sleeve again. This is 29 inches worth of stitching. So hopefully you're to this point to where you can stitch yours together as well today. I'm only going to show you this on one side because I don't need to take up all the time to show you stitching, how to stitch both sides, because it's just a repeat of this. You can whip stitch yours together if you want, if you're unsure of how to do this mattress stitch, but this is the way that I'm going to do mine. And I think that's what's great about this. You can actually probably were, Becky. Probably were. But the most wonderful thing about fiber arts and crochet and knitting is that you can make your own way. There is no one set of rules that tell you you have to sew it together like this, or you have to do it like this. You get to choose which way you want to do it. And instead of having a seam line when I do it together like this, butting the pieces together and sewing them, I don't have a seam line. I don't have a lump in my seam anywhere, inside or out, which can be irritating, especially if you have sensory issues. So I try to remove all of that. I do put tags in my work, but I put them in spaces where it's not going to be touching bare skin, like necks and wrists. I put it down on the hip line so that it's not where it's going to be irritating. Hopefully. I keep catching on to this crochet hook here. Let's put that up there and get it out of the way. Okay. Yeah, I have tried all different ways throughout the years, and I've, sometimes I whip stitch, sometimes, you know, and it depends on what effect that I want to do. And you can see here that's coming along pretty nicely. You can see the one chain is being taken over by the other, but I've got that nice row of, and it's flat. It is flat. There is no raised seam line on either side. I don't know if you can see that or not. Let's see if we can straighten this up. No seam line, just completely flat on both sides. So that's what I like about sewing things together like this. Hey Debbie, welcome in. It's my dogs. Finally come down the stairs. And we're just going to keep on sewing. Almost halfway there. And once we get this done, we are going to concentrate on the sleeve decreases. That is, if you want to decrease your sleeves, again, that is a choice that you can make, to decrease or not to decrease. It is totally up to you. So many decisions. I don't know if anybody has ever done a granny stitch decrease. I'm going to show you how that is done. And that could be very helpful in a lot of things. Making it fit the way you want to. There goes the clocks. It is noon here on the East Coast. I'm getting a little wild here. Maybe it's the color. Oh, I didn't have it tight enough. There we go. Let's tighten it up now. Just trying to keep up with what side I did last. Slowly working on getting this stitched up. It's coming along. Every now and then I'll take this string and pull it just like you should in the mattress stitch, and it'll make everything pull together. Don't pull it too tight though, because you will gather it up. I don't know why I hear Dory in my head. Just keep stitching. I can't sing either. Welcome in, everyone. So just a little bit. There we go. Gives me a little bit more room to sew now. We're on the bottom. Going through just one loop so I can give myself that, yeah, there we go, that effect of that braid laying on top of the seam. It's a little harder to see on the camera. From here it looks really, really nice. I like it. All right. These different colors here, it's hard to tell where I came out of, what stitch. Got some exciting stuff going on in the background. Not in the background here, but as far as planning and things like that. We are reaching out to see what kind of traction we can get somewhere else as far as my knitting patterns. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to jinx it. I'm hoping to yet again take another step up. The next big thing. Going to keep chasing those stars until I grab one. And then we'll see where we go from there. And hopefully you all come along with me. I think that would be grand. And hopefully it encourages you to reach for bigger. Not stay in the same spot. Keep moving forward. Set goals. Alright, we got a little bit left here. We're almost done. We're right about here. And then we will work on the sleeve extension, and then I'm going to give you all some homework. Because it is going to take me longer than just today getting all of these granny squares made. So, and I think I went down this way twice and I shouldn't have. Yep, we did. Okay. What I do in that case is I just unthread my needle, pluck that back out. And that probably was in the right side, but I think I was an extra stitch down because there was a huge gap. Alright, let's see here. Now, This is the one, and it was probably the right one. We just didn't have our stitches pulled together tight. There we go. And for anyone who wants to do granny squares, I will show you how to make a granny square. And if you've made the hexagons, you kind of already started one. You just added extra clusters in the beginning to make the hexagon, which is a 6-sided shape. The granny square is a 4-sided shape. So make sure I don't miss one. That one's already in there. Almost to the end. So close, and yet so far. Yes, Sherry, it is. It is my spot at your spot. I have a couple of products in there left over from past events, and I have one pattern in there as of now. There will be a pattern posted on Monday. And it will be in honor of April the 20th. So it'll be available on Monday. And then the Rory sweaters aren't posted in there yet. They're still out at Testers. And I'm not quite sure, and that's what the reaching for the next set of stars has to do with. I might be able to do something bigger than posting it on my website. So I'm kind of hoping that the information will get back to me soon, so that there isn't a whole lot of delay. That one's already done. And here we are, just seaming up the last couple of stitches, making sure that I don't catch one twice, because then you will have your stuff come out wonky down on the end. Okay, now we are going to stitch into the one of the chain 2 stitches here on the end. Here I'm back in the other corner. There's my chain 2s. This one goes to this side, this one goes to this side. So that way we don't start closing up, and we are finished. Now what I do when I get done, I will go back through both of those loops just like that on this side and this side, and I will do my little fasten off. Pull my little knot down tight, and then I always turn it to the inside, and this knot backed up a little bit, so I'm going to run this through the material, and then on the back side I will catch underneath of a couple of stitches here and Actually, I'm going to bring it down this one stitch right here, and we'll weave it into the bottom of this cluster. You can see here I've ran my needle down through one leg of one of the double crochets. I'm going to put that there, and then we're going to come down here if I can see it. Yeah, right here. We are going to come into the bottom of this cluster where it works around the chain 2, or the gap in between the stitches, and we'll weave our end in. You can see I got my thumb right there where I just wove that in. I'm going to cut this off, not quite to finish, but I like to put my finished products through the wash with the tails hanging, because as it washes, this gets relaxed in to that spot there, and then after it comes out of the wash, I will... You've missed the crochet along. Well, we're here right now. You haven't totally missed it. Now, what I will probably do for those who missed the first part, I will do a repeat of this on the second half next week on Friday. And I will also do a repeat on the decrease on the sleeve. So we'll work on this half today, and then next Friday we'll work on the second half. So anybody who missed the first half of this, and I will be uploading this one. I do not have any, copyrighted sounds playing in the background, so we'll be good to go. So this half will be posted to my other account where I store all of my videos for future viewing for me and anybody else. And you can see here now we have our sleeve sewn together. Again, it is flat. There is no lump here, nor is there a lump on the inside. So there's no seam bumps to rub and irritate at all. Now we're going to concentrate on the sleeve, if I can get it turned around here. Okay, we have, let me bring this up just a little bit. We have our sleeve opening here, and we are going to work on decreasing this sleeve opening, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. Okay, you're going back to knitting. Last week we were just working on the rounds, making it as big as we needed to, Ladybug, and I did show how to fold it in half, how to try it on. I did have a smaller version of that, and I'm going to have to find it so that I can show you better how to fold it up. What I will do is a video today, and I will post it on how to fold this, so you know how to fold it so you can start sewing if you're to that point. But I'm also going to show you now how to actually, let me show you one more time how to fold these up. And set this off over here for a minute. I got things falling everywhere over here. Alright, we're going to take this up pretty high, and I'm going to stand up here. Watch out. I've got littles at my feet because I need to stand up so I can show you. And I had that screwed in, but it comes out all the time. Give me just a second here. Alright, and we got this extended pretty tall. Now, this is the other side. No, this is not the other side. Yeah, it is. It's pinned together. Alright, we're going to have to take out all these pins. I pinned it so I could try it on. Let me just show you on a side that's not pinned up. It'll be easy to do, maybe. No, I got to take out the pins. They need to come out anyway. What I needed them for is now been completed. Just bear with me here. And I will show you how to fold these up. You want to lay your piece out so you can see one side from one corner to the corresponding corner. Lay that out so you can see that flatly. Everything else might ruffle up a little bit. Don't worry about it. It's supposed to. Because of the shape, it will ruffle. And closing these up because I know as soon as I try to pick them up when I get done that I'm going to stick myself with it. So we're taking a little extra precaution because I do not like being stuck with stick pins. Okay. Now we have all the pins out. And I'm going to move these so that as I sweep this sweater across this thing, I don't drop all of these in the floor. Alright, now what you're going to do is you are going to isolate one corner, go all the way to the other corresponding corner. I'm going to lay that out here as best I can so that you can see most of that. This bottom corner here, follow it all the way over to the other corner. You're going to put those two corners together like that. And then from this corner you're going to go all the way up to the other corner, and it's going to go up here with this. So basically you're folding this, okay? Then everything else comes together because you've already folded it in half. There you have your sleeve and the bottom part of your cardigan. You're going to sew across the top of the sleeve, which fits from your shoulder down to your wrist. And then, which I'm getting ready to show you now, we are going to decrease the sleeve. I will go over this same thing again next week when we work on this piece. In between now and then, I will be making my granny squares for the back extension and all the other extensions that I want to have for my cardigan. Might have to reposition that now. Alright, back to the other piece that we already have sewn together. And I knocked one of those little squares off in the floor. So, let me get set back up here so that I can see and you can see. There we go. So now on to the sleeve decrease. We are going to take whichever color yarn you want to work with, and I think I'm going to go with the reef. I like that color, and I'm going to show you how to decrease. Actually, I'm going to, do I want to do reef or white? Let's work with the white because I want to do the reef on the cuff. So I don't want the decrease to be the same as the cuff. So, looking for my crochet hook that I know I just moved. I'm going to go ahead and do my slip knot. Attach it to my crochet hook. And we are going to attach the yarn right at this gap right here. Right on your corner that you used to stitch. We're going to go right into the chain 2 space. Okay? And we are going to slip stitch it to join it together here. Move that tail out of the way. Do a slip stitch. Now I used double crochet, so I got 2 chain 3 for our double crochet stitch height. I'm going to go ahead and, because this is a hole, I'm going to come over here to the next one, just like doing the granny stitch. I'm going to come over here and do 1 regular granny square regular granny stitch here. We're going to come over to the next one. We are going to put 1 double crochet in the space, 1 double crochet in the top of the middle double crochet of the cluster below, and we are going to put 1 double crochet in the next gap, the next chain 2 space. That is going to give us our decreases. Now we are going to, oh, I forgot to chain, sorry. After this cluster, no, we're not going to chain, didn't have to. 1 in the gap, in the chain 2 space, 1 in the top of the center of the middle cluster, and 1 in the next chain 2 space, or what should have been a chain 2 space. And then we'll come over here to the next one and do a cluster in that one. And I should have figured out how many clusters I had. I'm going to do the next 2 with just a cluster, and then we'll go with another increase. So we're going to do 2 clusters and then do the decrease, not increase. I don't know why I said increase. Then we're going to do the decrease stitch. And what that's going to do is it's going to bring it in. Okay, these are going to bring it in. So we're going to do 2 in the chain, or what should be the chain 2 spaces, because we didn't chain 2 on the sides. So there's 2. This is the second one. And then the next one, we're going to do the decrease with 1 in the space, 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet in the top of, there's the center one, the top of the center of the double crochet of the cluster below, and then 1 double crochet in the next space, and that's going to give you your decreases around. So we're going to work around where we're working 2 and then a decrease, 2 and a decrease. So 2 granny clusters, 1 in each of the spaces between the ones on the row below, and then you're going to do your decrease. There's 1 there, 1 here, and 1 in the next, what should have been chain 2 space, but again we weren't doing the spaces. Is everyone okay? Yes, Ladybug, I will, and I will be doing this again next week, Friday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're not getting notifications that I'm live, Ladybug, go back to my profile page through that little dot right there next to my name on the top left corner. It'll bring a little bar down here with my picture and everything. Hit that little circle again. On my profile page, there's a little bell next to my name at the top, kind of semi-right side. That's where you'll do your notification settings. TikTok has it default set to personalized only. If you select all, it will let you know every time I upload a video or go live. You have to check back on that every so often, because I have found that sometimes when TikTok doesn't update, that gets set back to default. I've had to go and change it on several of the creators that I follow as well, which was not a lot of fun, but anyway. But yes, I will be going back over this same stuff next week for the other half. And I will be posting this one today to YT. This is the decrease one. My yarn's squeaking now. Now you're going to keep doing this just like you're doing regular rounds so that you can decrease your sleeve. Down to where you can do a cuff. I'm going to show you a crocheted cuff, and it'll probably be next week that I show you the crocheted cuff. And I'm going to have to double check this because I don't like the way this granny stitch is looking. It should come together. Maybe it'll look better once I've got it done. I might have to look at it again. Double check, make sure I'm doing it proper. Let me see. I don't like continuing on if it's not right, and I don't like telling you that the wrong way to do it. I've got a video playing over here. It's only about a minute long, and it shows you how to decrease. I'm going to watch here and make sure that I am doing it properly. Okay, they do one in the space. She did two in the space. Okay, I am doing it wrong. Because it wasn't coming out looking right. And let's pull this back and I will show you the right way. I have no problem admitting that I'm doing it wrong. No problem whatsoever. Let's scooch back over here. Because I want it to look right. If it doesn't look right, I won't do it. And this just doesn't look the way it's supposed to. Alright, so what we're going to do, we are going to go ahead and do a second one here. Now, to do the decrease, you do 2 of your double crochets in here, but you're stopping at this point. You're going to come over here to this next gap, yarn over. It's almost like doing a double crochet decrease. Is that how she did that? Because it's still... What the heck? Let me watch this one more time because I know. Okay, as you go around, it will pinch together. She actually put 2 in this one, but it looked like her clusters had 4 of them anyway. So yeah, it'll bunch it up and pull it together when you go back on the next round. Let me see if it's going to look better if I do it like that. That's going to increase my stitches around because I'm doing an extra stitch in there. So yeah, you do 2 in one gap and then 1 in another gap, and it brings it together. Okay, so now we're going to go on to the next one and do 2 of the clusters, 1 in each of the spaces. There's 1 in one space. There's the second one, which is going into this space. And then we will do a decrease, which is here. And I know I did watch a video where they did it that way, but it wasn't coming together the way that it should have. And that still isn't coming together the way I like it. I don't like that either. So we're probably going to, and we're coming up on our hour. I will get back to you with this because I know that there is a better way to do this. I didn't stop this one the right way. I am going to double check on this again if anyone does know, because yes, I do not do a whole lot of crochet. If anyone does know a better way to decrease, please hit me up with a message. I will learn from YouTube, from my followers, and I just did 2 decreases together. We don't want to do that. That'll decrease it too sharply. Get this one done here. There we go. All right, 2 clusters. I'm going to see how this looks when I get this round done. And there's 2 clusters. Now we'll do our decrease one where we do 2 double crochets. Don't finish off the second. I'm going to come over here and we are going to, I don't know, maybe the next round around it'll bring it in. We'll see. Okay, this is a regular cluster. Another one here in this gap here. And then we'll do another decrease. Normally I will go through and I will count how many spaces I have and evenly space my decreases out. But we're just winging it today. Turn this on around. Okay, we have a decrease here. We need to do one more cluster. Oops, yarn over. And the next gap we'll do our decrease. So one here. Second one in the same gap. Don't finish it off. Yarn over, come over to the second gap and finish them all off. On over to the next. We're going to do a regular 3 double crochets. Same with the next one. Okay, now we're back to our decrease. 1 double crochet. Start a second double crochet. Don't finish it all the way off. Over here to this next gap. I think if we bunch it together as we do it, it might come together a little bit better. Alright, now we've got another 3 double crochets in this gap. 3 double crochets in this one. And we are coming back around here. We are going to do the decrease over these next 2 gaps here. So we'll do 1 double crochet, second double crochet, don't finish it off, yarn over, come over to the next space, do your double crochet. I go through 3 loops and then 1. Alright, and then we have one more gap here, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do to close this gap, because there should actually be another double crochet here. We are going to do it right here in this corner gap that is left here on this side that we're working on. Right into here and do 3 double crochets. And then we are going to come into our chain 2 right here that we started at the beginning, or chain 3 for our stitch height, and we're going to slip stitch. Are we going to slip stitch? We're going to go over a little bit further because we don't want that chain gap. Come over into the first double crochet and hook those 2 together, and that'll give us a better looking gap versus that chain 2 gap. So we attach that into the top of our first stitch here. And that, pull this here, has actually, if I can get this sleeve to cooperate with me, it has actually decreased the hole of our sleeve. You can see it's turned in now. So what we'll do is chain 2 and go back around again and decrease some more until your cuff is about this big. And then I will show you the crocheted cuff next week. I'm going to have to look into that because I'm not very off the top of my head knowledgeable about whether we do front post and back post crochet for the rib, or if it's a front loop, back loop situation. I'm going to have to look into that. But you will decrease the sleeve until you are satisfied with the hole when you put your arm through there. You don't want to make it too tight around your arm. You want a little bit of give because, again, your crocheted rib, or I'm going to show you how to do a knitted rib because I like the knitted cuff better than the crocheted cuff, but I am going to show you both. So for next week, go ahead and have all of your pieces finished, sewed together. If you want to do extensions, granny square or granny stitch extensions, you are going to continue to do the granny stitch like we did it here with no chain 2 spaces in between, but you will work it on one side. Now for the back extension and all of that, I will show you the granny stitch extension and I will show you the granny square extension both next week. So for now, just get your seam sewed on the sleeves, get your sleeves decreased down to the size that you want for your cuff, and next week we will finish up with the back extensions with either the granny stitch or granny squares, which I've already started some here. I'm going to have granny squares on mine. And if you want it longer, I can show you the extensions on those next week because I'm going to use these for my extension. But I will also show you the granny stitch, how to do that back and forth just along one side from one corner over to the other to increase your back, because you will work back and forth. You won't work around anymore. And we will more than likely be finishing up the week after. So there's probably going to be 2 more crochet along scheduled the next 2 Fridays. So Kitty, thank you for the follow. So I'm going to go ahead and end for today and leave you all with a little homework. Granny squares. I need to show you how to make a granny square before I go. It is similar. I can't just assume that everyone knows how. So I'm going to set this over here because I don't want to cut that off. I'm going to continue on with those decreases and be ready for next week on those sleeves. Now for a granny square, you're going to start out with the magic circle. I'll bring this down here just a little bit so I can see. There we go. I hold the tail of the yarn between my thumb and my ring finger. I wrap the yarn around these 2 fingers here, my index and middle finger. I make an X on the back side, roll my hand over and hold the string there just lightly with my pinky. I'm going to take my crochet hook underneath the first string, grab the second string. You'll notice that my fingers come in a little bit so as not to cause a lot of resistance against this. I'm going to point my crochet hook down and then I'm going to turn it to where it's facing up. So we got this little thing going on here. Hey Selena. Then, oh, I'm getting ready to lose you. Nope, it's got a puzzle. I didn't have my stuff plugged in and I thought that it was getting ready to go. And I lost my charge, but I didn't. It was a puzzle. Okie dokie. Now, from this point, like this, you're going to come over to here and grab the string that you're holding with your pinky and pull it through that little loop. Now you can let go of everything, and what you have is a circle here that you can work into. Magic circle. So, and it's exactly how we started the cardigans. We are going to chain 3, since we were double crocheting everything else in the sweater. And we are going to do the 3 double crochets right here. We chain 3 first, and then we're going to do 3 double crochets and a chain 2. We are working all of that in that circle. Pull some of this out here. A little resistance, there we go. Then we are going to repeat that 3 more times. So 3 double crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, chain 2. 2 more times. 1, 2, 3. And if anyone needs me to slow down and demonstrate a double crochet, please let me know. I know we've got beginners in here, and I want to make sure that I am showing you the stitches for all the beginners. I don't want anyone to feel like they're not going to be able to learn. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, because I'm just flying through these stitches. Got to do another chain 2 here. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold on to, let me move my crochet hook out of the way here. I'm going to hold on to the stitches and not so much where the yarn is going through down here where I've crocheted around. I'm going to grab a hold of the tail and I'm going to pull it. And it's going to close up that square. So from here, we are going to go over here into the top of the first double crochet. We're going to ignore that chain 3 for the stitch height. We're going to go right into the top of that first double crochet with a slip stitch. And that gives us the start of our square. Now we are going to go around this again. We are going to again chain 3. We are going to come over here to this next corner, from where we are here over to the next corner. 3 double crochets, chain 2, there's our chain 2, and 3 more double crochets in the same spot, in that same gap in the corner, and the chain 2 that we made. Then we will chain 2, come back down to the next corner, and again 3 double crochets. There's 2 and 3. We're going to chain 2, 3 more double crochets in the same space. We're going to chain 2 and work down to the next chain 2 space here. And again, the same stitches, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets in the same space. And we are working in the chain 2 spaces from the previous row and not the stitches. We're going to chain 2 and we're going to continue on until we come back to the beginning. We are on our last corner here. So again, 3 double crochets, we have a chain 2 and 3 more double crochets in the same space. And we are starting to look more and more like a square. Alright, now we've come back up to the chain 3 that we did to get started. All I do is go right into that chain 3 and do a slip stitch to join the round. And here we have our square. Now on the next rows and each row after, it's going to be pretty much the same, because now you have side gaps instead of just all corners like the first row was all corners. As you're working, you're going to go ahead and do your chain 3. You can choose to put your first cluster right here if you want, or you can move over to this gap, whichever you choose. Either or, it doesn't matter. It comes out looking the same. Mary, thank you for the follow. So we are going to put 3 double crochets in this space. So there's our stitch height. 3 double crochets right here where we sit, because we're already in a space. 1 more. Then we are going to work over to our corner Again, our corners always get 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets in that corner space. Okay. And the only difference of this round and each round after is you're going to have side gaps here. See your side gap in your corners. These only get 3, the ones on the sides. You're going to get more and more side gaps as you go around each row. We're going to do our chain 2 and then right on over to the corner. Again, corners get 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets in the same space. And that you will continue on for each round. You will do 3 double crochets in each side space. Now we went from 1 side space, now we have 2. So the next round you'll have your 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets in your corners, and you'll just have your 3 double crochets in the spaces that are along the sides in between your corners. And you will make your granny square to 4 or 5 inches if you just want a single. I'm going to do a double row of granny squares that are going to be 2.5 inches each. So really all you have to do to get your 4 or 5 inches is possibly, let me see, and this is a little loose here. Let's measure across this one. Probably, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 rounds around your granny square will give you the 4 to 5 inches that you need. Because it looks like to me I'm doing about 1 inch around, almost. So 4 or 5 rounds around your granny square should be big enough to give you the extension that you need to allow the spacing for your neck in the hexagon cardigan. Electrical Banana, thank you for the follow. All right, Becky, have a great day. We're getting ready to go ahead and head off for the day. So have your hexagon cardigans ready for the extensions for the back and the lower part. If you need to extend the sleeves because the sleeves are not long enough, you will do that granny stitch just like we did here with no chain 2s in between, and you will work back and forth from corner to corner turning your work. Hey Sarah, how's it going? So I would like to thank everyone for joining me again today. We will have 2 more sessions for this crochet along before we are completely finished. And I will see you all next Friday. Yes, happy Friday, Arlene. Happy Friday. Sherry, you have an awesome day as well. I want to check something here very quickly before I leave. All right. So, as usual, may all your stitch counts match, and happy crafting. See you in a little bit, Sarah.